Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome. And welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now, today on the Ryan Awesome Show, I'll be talking about Impact Wrestling Sacrifice 2021. Now, overall, man, this was a good show. This is a good show. It wasn't a perfect show, wasn't a great show. It was a good show. It would have, it would have been a better show. Would have been a better show if they would have took some of the matches off. Matches on this show that didn't belong on the show. You could have just took those matches off the show. It would have been a much better show. But I loved everything on the show. Not everything, but I love the main event, the X Division Championship match, the women's tag team title match. I love that match too. But if I had to pick a match of the night, man, it is the main event: Rich Swann versus Moose, and the winner would be the Unified Impact World Champion. And so, yeah, that's my match of the night. So yeah, so if you haven't done this already, man, hit the thumbs up, man. What are you waiting for? Hit the thumbs up, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you'll be the first ones to know when my next video will come out, because I'm here each and every single week. So make sure you subscribe and you hit that bell for all notifications so you don't miss out. Because if you're not subscribed, you will miss out. And so yeah. So yeah, we started off this show with a tag team match. And so yeah, it was Decay, that's Crazy Steve and Black Taurus with Rosemary in their corner versus Reno Scum. And this match, I would have saved this match for Impact Wrestling. I would have saved it on Tuesday instead of putting this on a pay-per-view. This match did not need to be on the pay-per-view. And I said that on my Impact review. And so yeah, we had a neck snap to Reno from Steve, and we had an arm breaker to Scum from Taurus, and we had a tilt-a-whirl splash from Taurus and Steve to Scum. And we had a foot stomp turned into a senton on Black Taurus from Reno. And then we had a standing moonsault to Black Taurus from Reno. We had a hot tag to Crazy Steve. He had a Russian leg sweep to Reno, and he followed that up with a flatliner. And so yeah, and so at one point we had Reno. He accidentally took out his own partner, Scum. And so Steve, he goes for an over the top rope move. And so Scum, he caught Crazy Steve in midair. And so yeah, he caught Crazy Steve in midair. And so yeah, he was about to run him into the ring post, but Rosemary got in the way. She got in the way. And so Scum was telling her to get out the way, like get out the way. Like don't make me hurt you, get out the way. And so Rosemary, this is what she did. She got involved. She spit green mist in Scum's face and in eyes. And so yeah, Scum, he's blinded by the mist. The referee did not see it. If the referee would have saw it, that would have been a disqualification. And then we had a double team move to Reno, and Black Taurus hit his finishing move, the Taurus driver, to Reno to win the match. And so that was it. That was the end of the match. And quick match. I would have saved this match for Tuesday instead of having it on a pay-per-view. This was not a pay-per-view match, but it was still okay. It was an okay match, a good match. And so yeah, that was it from that. And so right after this, we go from one match that don't belong on the show to another match that don't belong on the show. And it was Tenille, Dashwood, and Kaleb with a K versus Havok and Nevaeh. Man, now this match, man, this was an embarrassing. This is an embarrassing match, a joke of a match. And so yeah, we had a backbreaker turned into a clothesline to Kaleb from Havok, and then Havok and Nevaeh they double team Kaleb, and then at one point Kaleb he yanked Nevaeh by her hair and slammed her on the mat, and then Dashwood and Kaleb they took control of the match. We had a hot tag to Havok. She took out Kaleb and Dashwood with a clotheslines, with clotheslines and big boots, and then Nevaeh and Dashwood, they were trading pinfalls. They were going back and forth with pinballs. And Nevaeh, she had got the better of the pinfall, and so the referee didn't see it. And so yeah, Kaleb he had came from behind and turned the pinfall around. And so Dashwood had Nevaeh in the pinfall hold, And so the referee turns around, sees it, and just counted 1, 2, 3, and that was it. So Tenille, Dashwood, and Kaleb, they won the match, and that was it. That was it. Did not need to be on the show. This was not a pay-per-view match. Not a pay-per-view match. Especially, like, dude, you have Kaleb. You have a guy competing in women's matches. Like, dude, how is that right? How is that right? You couldn't find Tenille Dashwood a partner? You couldn't find her a partner to fight Havok and Nevaeh? But you want to put Kaleb in the ring? A person that don't even belong in a ring with women? Like, dude, dude, it ain't make any sense. It ain't make any sense. This was a joke. This was a joke of a match. A joke of a match. This match did not need to be on this show. Did not need to be on this show. And so yeah, that was it with that. Tenille Dashwood, man, she deserves so much better. Split her away from him. Get Tenille Dashwood away from Kaleb. Get her far away from Kaleb. Tenille Dashwood, she deserved to be going after that Knockouts title. Dude, she is that good, man. She is that good. She don't need nobody. She don't need no lackey. She don't need no lackey. She could send her after Deonna Purrazzo and the Impact Knockouts title. But yeah, man, she did not need to happen. This match did not need to happen. And so yeah, right after this, we had a backstage segment. It was Rich Swann and Eddie Edwards. So Rich Swann, he was getting ready for his match, and then Edwards, he had came out. He had came to Rich Swann's locker room. He was hyping him up, saying, "Yeah, you will win. You will beat Moose, and you know you will beat Kenny Omega too." And so yeah, that's all he was doing. He was hyping up Rich Swann, and that was it. And so yeah, right after this, we had a match, a tag team match. So we went from one tag team match to another tag team match, now to another tag team match. And it was Violent by Design as Deonna and Doering with Eric Young in their corner versus James Storm and Chris Sabin with Jake Something in their corner. And so yeah, we had arm drags to Deonna from Sabin. We had a double clothesline to Sabin and Storm from Doering. We had an overhead belly-to-belly suplex to Deonna from Storm. And we had a double team move to Sabin and Storm from Deonna. I mean, a double team move from Sabin and Storm to Deonna, right? Yeah, to Deonna. And we had a scoop slam follow up by an elbow drop from Doering to James Storm. And we had a double team move to James Storm from Deonna and Doering. We had a hot tag to Sabin. He hit forearms to Deonna. And then Sabin, he took out Deonna and Doering. We had a missile drop kick to Deonna from Sabin. And then we had a fisherman suplex to Deonna, follow up by fisherman suplex to Deonna from Chris Sabin, follow up by a diving elbow to Deonna from Storm. And so Deonna, he kicked out of that. And we had a crossbody to Sabin from Doering, so that was really impressive. Seeing a big man hitting a crossbody out of nowhere, man. Not a diving crossbody, but a crossbody, man, in general, is very impressive for a big guy like Doering. And so yeah, so he hit the crossbody. We had a diving headbutt to Chris Sabin from Deonna, and Sabin kicks out. And then, at one point, we had Chris Sabin, he had hit a move on Deonna, and so Deonna was about to lose. He almost lost the match. And so Chris Sabin, he goes for the cover, and so Eric Young, who was on the outside, he put Deanna's foot on a rope. And so that stops the referee count. And so Jake Something, he goes right after Eric Young. And so, yeah, a brawl had broke out. At one point, the referee got knocked out. And then, everybody outside is fighting. And then they fought inside the ring. Eric Young, he ended up taking out Jake Something. So, yeah, it was just a brawl. It was just a brawl. And so, at one point, we had Young and Doering. They were about to gang up on Sabin. And then out of nowhere, man, Reno, he had came out. Reno came out. He ran out to the ring. And, he chased off Young and Doering, trying to protect Sabin. And out of nowhere, man, we thought that Reno was going to help Sabin. He ended up turning on Sabin. He turned on Sabin. So Reno, he gored Sabin in the middle of the ring. And remember, the referee is knocked out. So the referee did not see it. And so Deonna, he saw it. He goes for the cover, 1, 2, 3, and that was it. And Deonna and Doering, they won the match. And Reno, he turned heel. And now he's a part of Violent by Design. Great match. Even though it was a great match, man, I would have saved it. I would have saved it for TV. I would have saved it for Tuesday. either this coming Tuesday or next Tuesday. I would have saved it for Tuesday. You could have, you could have gave the viewer a reason to watch Impact Wrestling on Tuesday. I would have saved it for Impact. And so yeah, because this match was made just out of thin air. It was just made. You know, it should have been on Impact. It should have been on Tuesday. But yeah, it was still a great match, man. Rhino is back, and so Rhino, he's a part of Violent by Design. So Violent by Design, they are stronger now. With 4 guys, you got Eric Young, who's the leader. You got Diener. You have Joe Doering, who's a big guy. And you have Rhino, who's a big guy. So Violent by Design, man, they are looking stronger. They are looking stronger. And I'm a huge fan of Violent by Design, especially Eric Young and Joe Doering. And so yeah, so Rhino is a part of Violent by Design, and that was it. And so yeah, right after this, we had another match. It was the Holds Harmless match, and it was Brian Myers, the most professional wrestler, versus Eddie Edwards. And so yeah, this is a great match too. We had a lot of great matches on this show. We had Myers and Edwards. They were going right at it. We had an overhead belly to belly suplex to Myers, and then we had chops to Myers from Edwards. And then Edwards, he at one point he goes after Brian Myers' eyes. Remember, because he got that eye patch, so he was going after the eye patch and targeting the eye. And we had a tope suicida to Myers. And then we had Myers. At one point he tripped up Eddie Edwards, and so yeah, they were on the steel steps. So the steel steps were exposed, and so yeah, they were fighting on the steel steps. And so Brian Myers, he ended up tripping. He tripped Edwards. He tripped Edwards, and Edwards, he ended up falling backwards. He fell backwards. The back of his head had hit the steel steps. So that was really, really brutal. You heard it. You heard that loud thud. And so yeah, we had Myers. He brought out a trash can lid. He hit Edwards with a trash can lid. And so Edwards, he had kicked out of that. And then he brought in a cooking sheet or something like that, a cookie sheet, whatever you call it. He hit Edwards in the head with it. And then we had Myers. He had a Mikinochu driver. And then Edwards, he kicked out. And then, Myers, he brought out chairs. He brought it in the ring. And, yeah, he brought out chairs. We had Edwards. Edwards, he had brought out a cookie sheet. He grabbed the cookie sheet, and he hit Myers over the head with the cooking sheet. And so we had a superplex to Myers on the chairs. So the chairs were in the middle of the ring, and you had the cooking sheet, and you had the trash can lid, right on the chairs. And so we had Edwards. He had superplex. He superplexed Myers on those things, on those chairs and the cookie sheets and the trash can lids. And so yeah, they were going back and forth with strikes. We had a blue thunder bomb to Myers. Myers kicked out. And then Eddie Edwards, he brought out a table. He set up the table outside the ring. And then Hernandez got involved. Brian Myers, mercenary, he had got involved. And so yeah, Hernandez got involved, and then Matt Cardona, he had came out and attacked Hernandez. And so yeah, Myers, Cardona took out Hernandez, and then they left. And then Myers, at one point, he was hiding from Eddie Edwards because Eddie Edwards, he had a kendo stick in his hand. And so Myers, he was running away. And so he tried to go under the ring. And so Eddie Edwards, he had grabbed him. He had grabbed him from his arm. And so Brian Myers, from under the ring, he had yanked Eddie Edwards, and his face had hit the ring apron. So he went face first on that ring apron. So yeah, that was really cool right there. And so yeah. And then we had a flatliner. We had a flatliner to Edwards on a ring stamp. On a stage ramp. And then at one point we had Myers. He tried to dive. So yeah, we had a table that was outside the ring earlier that Eddie Edwards had set up. So Myers, he had put Eddie Edwards on the table, and so Brian Myers, he was about to dive on him. He was about to dive on Eddie Edwards through the table, but Eddie Edwards, he had stopped him. And he gave him a backpack stunner through the table. So the table is broken. And I think Brian Myers, the back of his head had hit the edge of the table. So that was freaking crazy right there. That was freaking crazy. And so yeah, we had a super kick to Edwards. And then yeah, Myers, he brought out his loaded steel that he used last time to hit Edwards with it with his clothesline. And so yeah, he tried to stick it into his elbow pad, but Edwards, he had grabbed the trash can lid and hit Brian Myers with the trash can lid. And so yeah, And so Edwards, he ended up fighting back. He had a tiger driver to Myers, and then Eddie Edwards, he had grabbed the loaded steel that Brian Myers used, and then he had put it in his knee. He had loaded it in his knee, and then he had went for his finishing move, the Boston Knee Party. So he hit the Boston Knee Party with the loaded steel to knock out Brian Myers for the win. So the 1-2-3, he pinned Brian Myers for the 1-2-3, and that was it. So Eddie Edwards, he wins the match, and that was it. Great match, man. Now I know what's next for Myers. It's gonna be Myers versus Cardona. Whenever that it will, whenever that will be, it's gonna be Myers versus Cardona. But what's next for Eddie Edwards, man? What's next for Eddie Edwards? Now that he, got past Brian Myers, what's next for him? I don't know, man. He already had his chance at the world title. Will he go after the X Division Championship? Will he go after the X Division Championship? Don't know, man. Don't know. But yeah, that was a really great match, man. Really great match. And so yeah, right after this, we had a tag team match, and it was from the women, from the Knockouts division. And so yeah, it was for the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships. And so yeah, it was Jordynne Grace and Jazz versus Fire and Flava, the tag team champions, the Knockout Tag Team Champions. That's Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. And so yeah, we had a huge shoulder tackle to Hogan from Jordynne Grace. And we had a head scissors to Jazz from Hogan. And we had a sit-out power slam to Tasha Steelz from Jazz. Steelz kicks out. And we had a standing side slam to Steelz from Jordynne Grace. And then Steelz, at one point she was faking an injury, and she ended up, baiting Jordynne Grace. And so she hit Jordynne Grace with a code breaker. And we had jabs to Steelz from Jazz. So she was hitting her jabs, and she followed that up with a right hook. And then at one point we had Hogan. She targets Jazz's eyes, and we had Fire and Flava. They double team Jazz. We had a pump kick to Jazz from Steelz, and then Jazz is still standing up right after that pump kick. And so Jazz, she ended up taking out Steelz with a roundhouse kick or something like that, or a spinning kick. And so we had a hot tag to Grace. She took out Fire and Flava. We had a Jordynne Grace. She had a Vader bomb to Hogan. And then Steelz, this is the best part of the match, man. So yeah, Grace, she had the Vader bomb on Hogan. And so Tasha Steelz, she broke up the cover. She broke up the cover with a frog splash. And so yeah, Steelz, she ended up whiplashing after that, after she hit that frog splash. So that was a nice spot right there. And then we had a double foot stomp, a double stomp neck breaker. A double stomp neck breaker to Grace from Fire and Flava. And Grace, she kicked out of it. We had a wheelbarrow facebuster to Hogan from Grace, and she kicked out. And then we had Jazz, she locked in her STF submission move to Kiera Hogan. And then Steelz, she tried to break it up by, she tried to pump kick Jazz in the face, but she ended up pump kicking Kiera Hogan in the face, so that was an accident. And then we had a double team move to Grace. And then to end the match, we had a fisherman's neck breaker to Jordynne Grace from Hogan to win the match. So that was it. So Fire and Flava, they won the match and are still the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions. And that was it. Great match, man. What's next for Fire and Flava? Who are next, man? Who are next in line for those tag team titles? It looked like, man, they've been through everybody. So I don't think there's nobody left. You can't do a heel versus heel. You can't do Susan and Kimberly because they're heels. Who's next, man? Who is next? They went through Havok and Nevaeh. Who's next? Don't know, man. Do not know. But yeah, man, that was a great match, man, from these ladies. And so yeah, right after this, we had Gia Miller. She tried to interview Moose. And so yeah, she tried to get Moose thoughts on his championship match later on tonight. And so Moose, he didn't say a word. He didn't say nothing. And so yeah, so Gia, she tried to get a word from Moose again. So she was like, Moose, I'm trying to get a word with you. What are your thoughts? Like, what's going on? I want to get your thoughts. And so Moose, he said, dude, I'm done. I'm done talking. I've done enough talking. Just watch. What's gonna happen to Rich Swann? Just watch. And so yeah, that was it. That was it for Moose. And so yeah, right after this, we had a championship match, and it was for the X Division Championship, and it was Ace Austin with Madman Fulton in his corner versus TJP, who is the X Division champion. And so yeah, through the start of the match, they were using their athleticism against each other, their speed. We had a drop kick to Austin. We had a sliding drop kick to Fulton from TJP. And so we had a twisting over the top rope moonsault to TJP. And we had a springboard enziguri kick to TJP. And TJP, he kicked out. We had a springboard DDT to Austin. And so that knocked Austin out of the ring. And we had a diving crossbody to Austin. And we had a tornado DDT to Austin. He kicked out of that. We had a double pump kick to... They hit a double pump kick on each other, so they ended up knocking each other out. And we had an enziguri kick to TJP in the corner. And then we had a springboard leg drop to TJP, and he kicked out of that. And then, yeah, Austin, he tries to go for his finishing move, the fold. I think that's what he called it, the fold, that running blockbuster. And so TJP, he fell. So he fell over. So it looked like he was playing, I think he was playing possum. So yeah, he was playing possum right there. And we had a knee bar submission move to Austin. And then Austin, he grabbed the rope. And then, they were going back and forth with strikes. And then at one point, they were reversing each other's signature moves and finishing moves. And then Austin, he used the ref as a shield at one point. He used him as a shield. And so he ended up taking advantage of that. And then we had a double stomp, a double knee stomp or something like that. I think it was either a double foot stomp or a double knee stomp from Austin to TJP. And he followed it up with his finishing move, the fold. And, he hit the fold to win the match. So Ace Austin, he won the match and is the new X Division champion. And that was it, man. That was it. Great back and forth. And Austin, man, he won. Austin, he won the championship after going through everybody. You know, I know who's the next challenger. I know who's the next challenger, and it's Chris Bay. It's Chris Bay. Chris Bay is gonna bring that up, cause Chris Bay, he beat Ace Austin. He beat Ace Austin on that go home show before Sacrifice. This past week on Impact, he beat him. He beat Ace Austin on a one-on-one match. So Chris Bay, he's gonna be, he's gonna be, he's gonna win his championship match. He's gonna say, dude, I beaten you, so I deserve a championship match. So yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen. And so yeah, man, that was it with that. And so yeah, right after this, man, we had the Swingers Palace.
Hit me. Joker, bust again. Oh, why does this keep happening?
Where? It's always been here?
Kaleb and Tenille Dashwood, they interrupted.
This is not gonna work.
Poor man's Vegas.
I gotta take that out.
Hey, Sweet Pea, you here for the Swing Man 2-for-1 special? Hey, no smoking, Daddy.
Actually, I just needed a location to do this boomerang.
What is this place?
These people.
I'm Magnum TA, but kayfabe that because it's Swingers Palace, Daddy.
Ugh, her again.
Yeah, that's her.
That's that girl from the influence starring Dashwood and friends.
Yeah, she's the loud one.
Yeah, the really annoying one.
Wait, do you think you're gonna come in my house and disrespect me? Actually, I have a great idea. I'm gonna go to Scott and demand a match. Me versus you.
Oh. Well, really, because I was just telling him that I'm gonna have a match against you. So I was gonna talk to Scott
No,
right now.
Yeah,
actually,
do it.
I'm gonna go first. So
No,
yeah,
I go
beat you
first.
there.
No.
Meow, Daddy.
And that was it. That was it from the Swingers Palace. And so yeah, that match ended up being a 12 ladies person tag. And so yeah, that was later on. They went in Scott D'Amore's office and they demanded a match against each other. And so Scott D'Amore, I think he made it into like a 12 woman's tag team match or something like that. I wasn't even paying attention to that. But yeah, we had a championship match for the Impact Knockouts Championship. And it was ODB versus the Virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo, who is the Impact Knockouts champion, with Kimber and Susan in her corner. And so, yeah, We had a follow-away slam to Purrazzo. We had Susan. She distracted the referee. And then Kimberly, she attacked ODB on the outside of the ring. The referee saw it. But, the referee saw it but did not disqualify Purrazzo. And so instead, he sent Kimberly and Susan to the back. So he kicked them out. And then we had a Russian leg sweep turned into a Fujiwara armbar to ODB. And so ODB, she fought out of it. And then they were going back and forth with strikes. We had a running power slam to Purrazzo. She kicked out. And we had ODB. She tried to go for her finishing move, the chest press. And then Purrazzo, she countered it and turned it into a Fujiwara armbar. And then she locked in both arms, which she called the Venus de Milo, to win. So ODB, she tapped out. And Deonna Purrazzo, she wins the match and is still the Knockouts champion. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. This was probably the weakest match on this show. Not the weakest match of the show, but one of the weakest matches on the show. So yeah, because ODB, she didn't deserve a championship match, and so at least Deonna Purrazzo won the match. That's all I care about. At least Deonna Purrazzo won the match, and that was it. And so yeah, right after this, we had a tag team match, and it was for the Impact World Tag Team Championships, and it was from New Japan Pro Wrestling, FinJuice, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson versus the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson, who are the Impact Tag Team Champions. And so, yeah, we had a dropkick to Anderson from Finlay. And we had a running European uppercut to Anderson from Finlay. We had a senton to Anderson from Robinson. And then Gallows, he delivered his corner punches to Robinson. And then, at one point, Anderson, he tripped Finlay. And so, yeah, Finlay, he was at the top rope. He was going for a hotline move. And so Anderson had tripped Finlay. And so the back of Finlay's head had hit the turnbuckle. And so, yeah, we had an elbow drops to Finlay from Gallows. And then Finlay, he kicked out. We had a big boot to Finlay from Gallows. We had a double team move to Finlay from the Good Brothers. And so we had Gallows, he hit his jabs on Finlay. And he followed it up with an uppercut. We had a hot tag to Robinson. He took out the Good Brothers. And we had a full Nelson slam to Karl Anderson from Juice Robinson. Anderson kicked out. And then at one point we had Juice Robinson. He tried to go for the cannonball. And so he missed it. And then Gallows, he had a roundhouse kick on Robinson. And then Robinson kicked out. And then we had a corner pump kick to Robinson from from Anderson. And he followed it up with Gallows, he followed it up with a corner splash. And then the Good Brothers, they tried to go for the Magic Killer. But Finlay, he broke it up. And then, everybody, they were hitting each other with each other's finishing moves. Not finishing moves, but signature moves. We had Karl Anderson, he had a beautiful spine buster on Juice Robinson. And Robinson kicked out. We had a double team move to Anderson from FinJuice. So it was a backbreaker elbow drop combination. And so, yeah, and we had, to finish the match, we had FinJuice, they hit Karl Anderson with the Doomsday Device to win the match. So that was it. So FinJuice, they won the match and are the new Impact World Tag Team Champions. And so that was it. I was shocked, man. I was absolutely shocked that they took the titles off of Gallows and Anderson, man. They've been pushing Gallows and Anderson a lot on AEW Dynamite, and they ended up taking their Impact Tag Team titles away from them. And then another thing, man, FinJuice, they're a New Japan talent. They're from New Japan Pro Wrestling, so you have New Japan Pro Wrestling talent winning the Impact Tag Team titles. So yeah, that's another reason why I was shocked. And so yeah, since the Good Brothers lost the Impact World Tag Team titles, I said this. I think I said it like weeks ago, that I think the Good Brothers are going after the Young Bucks for the AEW World titles. So yeah, that might be that might be the next stop for the Good Brothers. And so yeah, the Good Brothers are going after the AEW World Tag Team titles. That's what I'm guessing. And so right after that, so yeah, that was it with the match. Great match. And so yeah, right after this, was the main event, which is the best match on the show, in my opinion. The best match on the show was the world title unification match, and it was Moose, who is the TNA world champion, versus Rich Swann, who is the Impact world champion. And so, yeah, I gotta point this out though. One thing I did love about this match, before the match even started, I love how Rich Swann came out to the ring and he did not come out dancing. So I love that part. You in a championship match, you should not come out dancing. So I did love that part. And so yeah, Rich Swann, he tried to end the match early. He hit a drop kick on Moose. Doesn't even phase Moose. Doesn't even phase him. And so yeah, so Swann, he was using his speed against Moose. And then at one point, yeah, they were outside the ring. They were fighting outside the ring. We had Swann. He threw Moose into the ring post twice. And we had a hot shot. On the ring ropes to Rich Swann. So Moose, he took control of the match. And so Moose, he was throwing Rich Swann around like a rag doll. And then we had Swann. He was fighting back. He went after Moose's leg, which is a smart move. If you want to take out a big guy, you got to go after their legs. And we had a huge back body drop to Swann. And Swann, man, dude, when he landed after that big back body drop, man, Swann, he had a 450 splash. He had a 450 splash on a mat from that back body drop. So that was really impressive. And so at one point we had Moose. He was talking smack to Rich Swann, and he ended up slapping the spit out of Rich Swann's mouth. And so yeah, you saw the spit fly out of his mouth. Ugh, it was really nasty. And so yeah, Swann, he was fighting back. He tried to fight back, but it wasn't working. And so Moose, he had a Uranagi slam on Swann, and Swann, he kicked out. And then, Moose, he couldn't believe it that Swann kicked out of that. And so Moose, he got out of the ring, went under the ring, and grabbed the chair. And so he got in the ring. He set the chair up in the corner. And so, yeah, he tried to throw Swann through the chair that's set up in the corner. And so the referee had stopped him and said, hey, you better not do this. If you do this, you will get disqualified. You will get disqualified if you use this chair, so don't do it. And so, yeah. And so Moose, he had a follow-away slam on Swann. And so, it got back outside the ring. Moose, he threw Swann into the guardrail. And then, throughout the match, we had Moose, he was grabbing at Rich Swann's hair. It looked like he wanted to pull his hair out. He was tying his hair in a rope, in a ring rope and stuff like that. He was pulling at it. And then at one point, he was outside. He put his hair through the guardrail and started pulling it and stuff like that. So, yeah, Rich Swann, he was yelling and screaming that, because his hair getting pulled out. And so, yeah. So, yeah, Swann, he tried to fight back again, but it's still not working. And so Moose, at one point, he targets Swann's ribs. So he went after the ribs. And then we had a gut buster to Swann. As Swann is fighting back, he had a Frankensteiner to Moose off the top rope. And then we had not Moose. Swann, he hit jabs on Moose, so he was hitting his jabs on Moose. And then we had a series of kicks. And we had a pump kick to Swann's spine. So that was really cool. And then Moose, so they were going back and forth. We had Moose. He ran to the top rope. He jumped on the top rope. And, it looked like he wanted to go for a moonsault. But Swann out of nowhere, he hit a springboard cutter on Moose from midair. So he caught Moose in midair, man. Dude, just seeing Moose jump off the top rope, man, was freaking impressive. But seeing Swann hit a springboard cutter and caught Moose in midair with a cutter, man, that was the best part on the one of the best spots on this match. And so yeah, he got caught with a cutter. Moose, he kicked out at 1, not 2. He kicked out at 1. And so yeah, so Rich Swann, he kicked Moose over and over and over again. And then we had Swann, he got on the second rope. He had a 450 splash to Moose, and then Moose, he kicked out. And then Swann, and so yeah, Moose, Swann, he was at the top rope, and then Moose, he had knocked him off, not knocked him off the top rope, but knocked him onto the top rope. And so yeah, so they're fighting at the top rope, and then so Swann, he knocks Moose off the top rope, so Moose went flying down into the ring. But Moose, he had got back up. He ran to Rich Swann, caught him, and hit a fallaway slam, a fallaway moonsault slam. So that was the best part of the show, the best part of the match, man. He ran over to Rich Swann and hit a fallaway moonsault to Rich Swann. And Swann, he kicked out, man. He kicked out. And so Moose still can't believe it that this guy is kicking out over and over and over again. And so yeah. So yeah, Moose, he tried to go for his spear. He calls it the lights out. So he tried to go for the lights out 3 times. The first time he hit it, he ran into the turnbuckle. And the second time he tried to hit the lights out, he ran into another turnbuckle. And so Rich Swann, he went by the turnbuckle with the chair on it. And so Moose, he was about to hit the lights out again. So Rich Swann, he moved out of the way again. So yeah, so Moose, he ended up running into the chair. I thought that was a dumb move from Moose. Like, dude, you you hit it the first time, he moved out of the way. He moved to the second one. Like, you try to hit it again, he moved out of the way again. You hit it again for a third time, and he moved out of the way again. So that was really dumb on Moose's part. And so yeah, and so Swann, he ended up catching Moose in a crucifix bomb, pinfall hold, and so he rolled up Moose for the 1, 2, 3, and that was it. That was the end of the match. And so Rich Swann wins and is the new unified world champion. And that was it. That was the end of the match. So Rich Swann wins, and he will be going against Kenny Omega, the AEW world champion Kenny Omega, at Rebellion on April 24th. And that was it, man. Great match. One of the best matches on the show for me. My match of the night was this match right here. And so, yeah, man, that was it. Going into this, man, I was like, man, Moose should have won. Moose should have won. But when the match started, I was like, you know what, man, Moose is not going to win. He's not going to win because whoever is the winner, they're going against Kenny Omega. They are going against Kenny Omega. And, it's kind of like the winner of this match was the loser. And so, yes, I wanted Moose to win, man. Yes, I wanted Moose to win the match and the titles and everything, but what good would that would have been? Because whoever would have won, man, they are fighting in a losing battle because nobody, and I mean nobody, is beating Kenny Omega. Nobody. And so that's why I was like, man, you know what? I think they're gonna give the titles to Rich Swann. Because think about it, dude. Who would you much rather see lose to Kenny Omega? Rich Swann or Moose? I'm going with Rich Swann. I'd much rather see Rich Swann lose to Kenny Omega than Moose losing to Kenny Omega. Because, like if you would have gave the title to Moose, like the whole title reign would have been pointless, and it would have been looked at. Moose would have been looked at as a transitional champion, and Moose is not that. He's not that type of guy. And so yeah, man. So yeah, you have to choose one. You have to choose which one would you much rather have lose to Kenny Omega, Rich Swann or Moose? You have to choose. And so yeah, man. So yeah, Rich Swann, yes, he's the champion. He's the unified champion, but he's not gonna be unified champion for that long, man. Because those titles are going straight to Omega. They are going straight to Omega. Because they ain't calling Omega the belt collector for no reason, man. That is done by design, man. The belt collector nickname is done by design because Kenny Omega, he will win those titles at Rebellion. He will beat Rich Swann, and Kenny Omega, he will be coming out. He'll be coming out on Dynamite with all 3 titles. He'll have the Impact World Championship right here on his shoulder. He'll have the Impact, the TNA, Impact, and then the AEW World Championship wrapped around his waist. So Kenny Omega, man, he'll have 3 titles. 3 titles. And so, yeah, man, that was it, man. That was it. And so, yeah. So yeah, I knew why they did it. And that's my best guess. Is that they wanted to protect Moose. They wanted to protect Moose, because if they wanted to give the title to Moose, they would have gave the titles to them. But if you would have took the stipulation out, no Kenny Omega, then I think Moose would have won. Moose would have won the match if you would have took that stipulation out, that Kenny Omega stipulation. Moose would have won. But another thing, Kenny Omega is a heel. Moose is a heel. So you can't do a heel versus a heel. It got to be the other way around. It got to be babyface versus a heel. And so, a heel can't screw over a heel. That's not going to happen. A heel can screw over a babyface. So that's why I think they went with Rich Swann, to protect Moose, because they're not going to do Moose like that. They're not going to do Moose dirty like that. Have him win the titles and have him lose it to Kenny Omega. No, it's not going to happen. And so Yeah, if you're gonna give the titles to Moose, man, he better have a dominant reign, man. He needs to have a dominant reign if you're gonna give those titles to Moose. So that's why they gave those titles to Rich Swann. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing, man. And so yeah, man, that was it with that. And yeah, man, that was it. Now, with the Impact Tag Team titles, I mentioned that Gallows and Anderson will take the titles off of the Bucks. And, if the Bucks, if they take the titles off of the Bucks, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. But they take the titles off of the Bucks and bring the AEW Tag Team titles to Impact Wrestling. Maybe some of the Impact, maybe some of the AEW Tag Team talent will show up on Impact Wrestling talent, for the Tag Team division. I don't know, man. But yeah, when Kenny Omega win those titles, man, they ain't gonna have no world champion. They gonna have no world champion, and I don't even think Kenny Omega gonna even be on Impact every single week, cause he got his own problems. He got AEW, he got the AEW championship. So you have more titles, man. You have more competition. You have a lot stacked on your plate. So Kenny Omega as Impact World Champion, man, I don't even think he gonna be on Impact every week. But yeah, man, that was it with the match and the show, man. Good show, great main event. I love the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championship match. We had a lot of great matches on this show. It would have been a better show if they would have got rid of those other matches that didn't belong on the show. And so yeah, man, that was it with that. Very good show. And if you like this video, man, hit the thumbs up, man. What are you waiting for? Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you'll be the first ones to know when my next video will come out, because I'm here each and every single week. And yeah, comment down below. Comment down below. Tell me how you felt about Sacrifice. And yeah, share this video with each and every single person that you come across on a day-to-day basis. Follow me on Twitter at Ryan Awesome Show. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday for Impact Wrestling, the aftermath of Sacrifice 2021. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday. And yeah, man, once again, guys, thank you for the love and support for this show. And, thank you, man. Thank you for all your love and support for this show. And yeah, man, that's it, man. Stay safe. Take care. And this has been the Ryan Awesome Show. And that's that.